everyone, and welcome to
The Movie House.
Today we're going to talk to you about a movie from 1967 called In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. What'd you think?
I liked it. We had just recently saw To Sir with Love, and years ago I saw Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And so we were like, what else has Sidney Poitier done? And he had done In the Heat of the Night, which I am supposing the TV show with Carol O'Connor was based on, which I'd like to check that out sometime. And it was really good. I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what the movie was about. And right from the get-go, it just grabbed me. And it was a very, very interesting movie.
Yeah, it was. It was very well done. It's directed by Norman Jewison, who's done a lot of different movies over the years. I was looking at his filmography, and he's done everything from comedies like Moonstruck to serious dramas like In the Heat of the Night. He's done just about a little bit of everything, and most of it, in my opinion, is very, very good. So yeah, it's a really well done movie. So what happens is Rod Steiger is a small town sheriff in Mississippi, and there's a murder, which is very unusual for this town. So they're not really used to investigating this kind of a crime.
Spoiler alert.
And so Sidney Poitier happens to be passing through and happens to be an expert homicide detective and is sort of coerced into helping solve the crime. And so all that other stuff aside, the crime and the way it's investigated and resolved is a great story in and of itself.
Yes.
And it keeps you interested with all the twists and turns and all the things that go on as they try this oddball couple of a bigoted sheriff and a professionally dressed, educated black man try to work together to solve this crime.
Yeah, and I love a good mystery, and this was a good mystery. We were guessing until the very end, trying to figure out who, what, why, where.
Right.
It's really, really good, and it kept our interest. The characters are fascinating, the relationships between people, how they figure it out, and even the growing friendship between the sheriff and this police officer from the north. It's very, very, very good. Very well done. Very real.
Yes.
It's real. It's not, we're best buds after 2 minutes. It's nothing like that. It's real. Yeah. You see more into these characters than just their professional life.
Yeah. And Rod Steiger won the Oscar for Best Leading Actor for his performance in this movie. Poitier already had won an Oscar at this point, but this is Rod Steiger's Oscar-winning performance, which oddly enough was offered initially to George C. Scott, who turned it down. Steiger got it instead, and then 3 years later, Steiger was offered the role of Patton, and he turned it down. George C. Scott accepted the role, and he won the Oscar for Patton. So, hey, sometimes things work out even, Stephen, for everybody.
Yeah, and I thought it was neat, too, because I think that really we talked about it later, Rod Steiger did an excellent job as Judd in Oklahoma. I mean, he was really, really good in that role. And then I think you reminded me that he was also in On the Waterfront.
Right.
With Marlon Brando. So I don't know what else he's been in, but he's a very, very good, talented character actor. He's a heavy hitter, but he can really make a character that sticks in your mind. Because like Judd was just creepy. If you haven't seen Oklahoma, you have to see Oklahoma. But he did a great job as Judd.
And again, I give a lot of credit to Norman Jewison. This is a movie packed with familiar faces, lots of character actors that you will recognize. In particular for me, Warren Oates plays one of the sheriff deputies, and he's very good. You kind of don't know what to make of this guy sometimes, as he's involved in the investigation and so forth. But the director, I think, just got the most out of everybody in this movie, and so I give him a lot of credit for that, I think. Yeah, Sidney Poitier apparently was a busy guy because he had 3 movies come out in 1967. In the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming Together, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner,
Who's Coming Together,
and To Sir with Love. 3 very different stories as well.
Yes.
And he's excellent in all of those. But yeah, this is it's a hard story to watch play out, because it is...
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
It's a very awkward for 2020 Americans to watch this black man in the South be treated this way. For people who are our age, I think, and certainly younger, this is such a foreign thing. I lived in the North my whole life, and you didn't see this sort of interaction with people when I was growing up in the 70s. But apparently this was pretty usual, particularly in the Deep South in the 60s and earlier. So it was very, very difficult to watch this man be treated the way he's treated by pretty much everybody in town, including the cops.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was a little piece of history for sure. And just very eye-opening, because this is part of our history. And it was in the 60s, because I think they talked about this was during the time Martin Luther King Jr. was popular, and it was before he was assassinated, correct?
Just before
he was assassinated.
Yes.
So this is based on what was going on more in the North than it was in the South. The story takes place in a very small town in Mississippi, correct? Yes. So it's just really shocking.
Sidney Poitier would not film in the South because he had a bad experience previously in his personal life, and so they moved the shooting location to Illinois.
Yes.
So the Mississippi town is actually in Illinois, where they filmed. And if you'll notice, Elaine noticed this right away, the foliage is fall-like, and it's supposed to be in the heat of night. It's supposed to be in the middle of the summer.
A hot summer.
And you see the fall foliage in certain scenes, and they...
it was so cold at night, and during the day it was very cold.
In the night scenes, because it's so cold that their breath shows up on the film. In fact, they tried to reduce it by... They had a trick, which I thought was fascinating. They would eat ice chips right up until they were supposed to shoot the scene, and then they'd spit out the ice chips and talk, and the breath would not come out as a vapor.
Yeah, because it was so volatile in the South that Sidney Poitier feared for his life because it was so bad. The protests, the riots, and the conflict between blacks and whites at that time, because a lot of what was happening in the North.
Right.
So yeah, it's just very interesting that he's like, nope, I'm not going to film down there. And they didn't want him to get hurt. They didn't want anybody to get hurt. Right. So.
But yeah, it's a very strange thing for at least for me, speaking for myself. I was 2 when this movie came out, so I was just a toddler. So this whole era sort of passed by the time I was old enough to understand what was going on in the world, but with Watergate and all that kind of stuff, which is a whole different ball game. But again, it's sort of strange to think that this was normal, at least in parts of the country, for a very long time. And now fortunately, I don't think it is normal anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, you still have, unfortunately, individuals and individual incidents, because you're always going to have a mixed bag of people. It just, It doesn't matter. You just are.
Right.
Fallen human nature is selfish and greedy and fearful. And so you're going to have that. You can try to eradicate it as much as you want to. It's, you be the change, right?
Yeah.
You be the change you want to see. But it's nothing like it used to be.
Right.
Praise God. It's
Right.
just not.
But okay, so
Yes.
we liked it. In the Heat of the Night. If you haven't seen it, it's a good movie.
Very good
Worth
movie.
your time. Okay, that's it for us. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.